As many of you know, there's this cadre of particularly extreme Republican members of Congress right now. Often we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn as three of the sort of newer radical Republicans. Now, I could not care less about Madison Cawthorn's personal life. It turns out that Madison Cawthorn is getting divorced from his wife after a year of marriage. I could not care less. I just don't care. And I wouldn't even be talking about it, except for the fact that in the context of this divorce, a very, very strange video has come up in which Madison Cawthorn explains the story of how he met his wife. And it involves attending a CrossFit competition that didn't really exist after visiting Russia and meeting someone. And it all just stinks to high heaven of Russian compromat or some kind of honeypot intelligence operation. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that's what it is. It's just incredible that Cawthorn himself seems to have no self-awareness whatsoever, that the story of how they met is just a little bit weird. Yahoo News has an article about it where they write a video has resurfaced of Madison Cawthorn saying he met his soon-to-be ex-wife at a fake CrossFit competition organized by a U.S. Army captain that he met in Russia. The tale involves a casino in St. Petersburg, Russia, that led to a fake CrossFit competition in Miami, which Cawthorn referred to as a sham to introduce him to the woman who would become his fiancée. Now, this is an 18-month-old video. It's resurfaced. I had never seen this before. And he talks about going to Russia on a vacation. The story is all very, very strange. So let's look at the video, and this already with nearly 3 million views, because it's just so bizarre.
And so we took the risk to do that surgery. And so when I decided to do that, I said, well, doctor, let me go on one last trip just in case I'm not going to be able to ever get on an airplane again. And then, so he said, okay, well, you'll be in a lot of pain. I said, it's worth it. So me and a bunch of my friends, we went to, we got to go over to very close to Russia.
So even here, it's a little weird because it sounds like he's going to say something else. And then he says, very close to Russia. Let me just go back there, okay?
We got to go over to very close to Russia. Went to Sweden and Norway, and we had just an incredible vacation. It was great. I was in a lot of pain the whole time, but it was wonderful.
So he says they went to Sweden and Norway.
But then we got on a boat and went into St. Petersburg in Russia.
Okay. Now, I'm already suspicious of this story because what he's saying could be true. He says they went to Sweden and Norway and got on a boat to Russia. Most people who do the ferry to St. Petersburg go from Helsinki, Finland. Look at a map and you'll see geographically, Norway to Russia makes no sense. I think you can get a boat. I think it's multiple days. Sweden to St. Petersburg, there is a ferry. I think it's close to 40 hours. And could they have taken a 35, 40-hour ferry? Maybe. Not that many people do it. Typically, people go Helsinki to St. Petersburg, and you see that it's much closer. So his hesitation combined with saying, then we got on a boat, it already is sort of weird, but that's nothing compared to where it's going to go.
And, we just decided to take $100 each and go into a casino and see how it went. And, I ended up meeting an American there who was a captain in the Army and who was originally from Miami. And so we hit it off, created a really great relationship and stayed in contact for about a year and a half until later I was down in Miami for work. And he texted me and said, hey, would you like to come compete in a CrossFit competition? And so I laughed and said, well, Todd, I'm in a wheelchair. I obviously can't do CrossFit. And he said, well, just do the pull-up section. I was like, okay, sounds good. And so I show up. But anyways, it all was a sham. It was a fake CrossFit competition. He just wanted me to put me in the same room with the girl who is eventually going to become my fiance. And so we did. And her and I hit it off. And it's been a magical relationship ever since.
Now, if that doesn't seem extremely bizarre to anybody else, then does any of the story make sense to anybody? He was in Sweden and Norway and took a boat to St. Petersburg, which is already something very few people do. At a casino, he happens to meet a U.S. Army captain who stays in touch with him at a Russian casino, invites him to a CrossFit competition. Why that guy would think, hey, you know what? I can't just tell him I've got someone I want you to meet down here. He has to create a sham, the belief of a sham CrossFit competition to get him down there to meet a woman. Why did this woman want to meet him? What did the woman know about him? And none of the story makes sense. Now, again, we don't know anything, but it is a wacky and bizarre story. And maybe at some point we'll learn more about what the backstory here is, but needless to say, that relationship is ending. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night helps you sleep. I can't sleep in a hot room. That's why I love our sponsor, Chili Sleep, which makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions to sleep better. Their flagship products are the Uller sleep system and the Cube sleep system, which is what I have. Both are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled luxury mattress pads. You can make them as cold as 55 degrees Fahrenheit. If you wanted, you could go as hot as 115 degrees. I like the cooler option. I keep mine at 60 degrees, and it gives me a great cool night of sleep. No feeling hot, no more sweating. I'm falling asleep faster, and it pairs perfectly with Chili Sleep's weighted Chili Blanket, which keeps you cold on top, too. Right now, Chili Sleep is running a special sale. You'll get 30% off everything when you go to chilisleep.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.